The Cuppa Podcast with Cat Wright.
Hello, good evening.
Evening, how are we doing?
We're good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yes.
Just
That's
waiting,
really good.
waiting for the others.
Waiting for the others to join us.
Mm-hmm. They'll be along shortly.
Yeah. So we've got Hannah.
Mm-hmm. Oh dear.
Oh, are we having everybody?
Maybe. You'll be getting Ruth from the States because you're out in California at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what time it'll be over there.
I have no idea.
Afternoon.
What's the time difference, do you know?
About 7 behind, I think, from where we are now.
Oh.
So we're getting a very international conference tonight.
On.
Just like that.
And it's not Hannah, by the way.
Well, if it is, she needs a shave.
I'll tell her that.
Not from me.
Is this being recorded?
It's being recorded. You'll get like you'll get a little message saying like it's been recorded. Are you okay with that?
So Duncan, you're going to be busted.
I'll put my mute on now and just, Oh, I got a new phone, lads. I got a new phone.
Is it out of 1984?
No, it's a proper upgrade.
A proper
3310, is it?
It's a Nokia, all right.
Not the old brick.
It's a Nokia 106.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of it.
Open the box. No, I hadn't either, but I opened the box in delight. And I think the instructions are in Hindi.
Oh, okay. Do you think it might be I don't know, counterfeit or something?
Well, I wouldn't like to say, but
Might be fake.
certainly seemed a reasonable price. I'll give it back.
I was going to say, Duncan, it's 20 quid. That's nothing to be proud
To
of.
get it on like eBay or something.
It's gone up in price, mate. No, it's 30 quid, this one.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
That's what mine cost me a month.
There you go.
Awesome. Are we waiting for anyone else, or is it just us?
I think it's just us so far, I think.
I think Ruth's still out in the States, isn't she?
She is, yeah.
Where are we all at the moment? Whereabouts are we in the world?
I'm up in concert in Durham.
Durham.
Yeah. Durham way, Stanley.
Sunderland.
Okay, so not like if my geography, doesn't fail me. You're not like too far from each other, are you?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I was at traffic jam in Leeds at the weekend, so
Oh yeah. It was Leeds Festival this weekend.
it was Stone Dead Festival as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as usual, it's been a few casualties.
Yeah.
And
no.
I haven't been there for a while. To be honest, I went like twice. In all the times I've lived in Leeds, and it's just not my thing. I'm more of like a download Bloodstock person.
Yeah.
So I didn't tend to go to those. Yeah, to those a bit more. But I went to see 21 Pilots, where I took my my youngest to go see them, and it was a little bit chaotic as well. It was the year that Post Malone was headlining. So for those that don't know, Post Malone is a very well-known rapper.
Yeah.
It's on the latest Aussie album.
Yes, that I wanted to hate it, but I did not. I loved it. I thought it was very good. I thought it was really good, well produced and executed. Yeah, I was never a big Ozzy Osbourne fan, if I'm honest, but his latest stuff's like, elite. It's really, really good. He's like nearly 100 and still like doing what he does.
Yeah. Well, he just signed another pact with the devil, hasn't he, to continue on for another 100 years or so?
I need to find where he drinks his water from. Just see if I can get some of that.
Yeah, some of that gold juice, yeah.
But it's like when it comes to like music influences, you guys being like in a, would you say it'd be like hard rock band? Who would be your?
It's an interesting one because we've all got different tastes.
Yeah.
And for me, it's more sort of old school 80s hard rock with a kind of like sort of modern, heavier sort of side of things. Whereas I think Ada's yours is a completely different one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm more from a punky goth background.
Like Type O Negative.
More like a little bit further back than that. Things like Sisters.
Oh, okay.
Sisters
Oh,
and
okay.
and Fields of the Nephilim and stuff like that.
Okay, so with in the band, when it comes to like music writing and lyrics and stuff like that, who would you consider like your similarities to? So if you were to say, oh, we sound like such and such, who would that be?
It's something that's always been quite difficult because with the different songs, I don't have to be a cliche answer, but with it being difficult, but with the different songs, they touch upon different genres. So like some that we're working on at the minute, it has like a sort of a heavy funk element to it, and then transitions into sort of like a nod to classic rock, and it's got that kind of don't know where it's going to sit sort of vibe to it, but you can recognize different elements of it without knowing necessarily where they are. So I suppose it depends on the song.
Before we get to the current things that you're working on, I'd like to go back a little bit. So when did it all start for you guys?
We originally kicked off at about 2011. Very different lineup, very different sort of sound and stuff as well. It was like a cock rock, if you can call it that. Sort of sleazy sort of rock. It was all about the sort of the parties and the chaos and
Getting drunk,
yeah, all
Sounds
that
about
kind of
right.
stuff. And
Lipstick and cigarettes.
yeah, just all that sort of like stuff. And then it sort of evolved from there as we got different members in and sort of become a lot more considered now. It's not that kind of plug in and play and just see what happens kind of stuff. It's a little bit more thought through.
How did you all meet? Were you like friends before, or was it just like someone was looking for the band members? How did it all happen? How did it all happen?
that's basically how it happened for me. They were looking for a drummer.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think I don't know if it's the same where you are, but certainly around our area, there's different music circles, and as you're sort of getting out there, gigging, going to gigs, chatting with other musicians and that kind of stuff, you're sort of building up that network. And like Duncan, for example, he sort of came along to some of the first gigs that we ever played, and then here we are, 10, 11 years later, and he's in playing with us, writing stuff.
Before that, I was in a band with Hannah.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst. And that was before I think she joined Full Mafia.
Yeah.
So it's just another example of this interwoven scenario that we have with Northeast music. Everybody knows each other, not put too fine a point in it. And there's some great talent out there.
Yeah.
And when we're not playing, we're out there watching. So
is there like a song in particular that defines you as a band that you've written?
Oh, I think that there's a show-stopping song where, and it's Nymph because of the meaning. I mean, I'm not sure how sort of up to speed you are with the sort of the back history of the band and that kind of stuff, but we try and the songs that we write have a very emotive subject matter, sometimes very dark, sometimes very difficult to talk about and that kind of stuff, but relatable situations. We end on the song Nymph, which is ultimately about somebody who killed themselves, unfortunately. So it's a very deep message and a very, very difficult message, but it's about sort of asking for sort of help and getting out there and not just sort of suffering alone and that kind of stuff. And you can see it resonates with people. And when we play that, I mean, don't really talk about the hairs in a minute, but it's one of those songs where buzz you get from the audience is just epic.
Mm-hmm. When was the first time that an audience started singing your lyrics back to you?
Oh, there's a video that, well, it's been a couple of times, but the video when we played at a venue called Legends in Newcastle, and this was quite early on within our sort of history. And there's a few videos there where there's people singing back, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. How did that make you feel? Did you get a little emotional?
I think at the time it was probably wasted because sort of caught up in everything else that was going on, and it wasn't necessarily the appreciation for what it was. Whereas now, when it happens, it's like, don't take it for granted. I think for me as a younger musician, it was almost like, well, this needs to be fed to me on a plate. This is my just given right kind of obnoxious sort of view at the time. Whereas now it's more, certainly for me, it's more appreciative of the situation.
Do you feel you appreciate it a lot more now than you did then?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think as we grow older as well, I feel, to be honest, on a personal level, things that make me emotional now did not make me emotional 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
The lessons that you learn in life, and also the things you go through on a personal level. And then now it's just like, oh, certain things, oh gosh, I can feel it now, whereas 10 years ago I wouldn't necessarily. So yeah, I get the appreciation side of things, appreciate it a bit more and you feel it a bit more. Whereas before it wasn't, you felt it, but it wasn't as much as now. When it comes to emotion, I'd like to talk about what you guys are working on now. And when this was brought to my attention, what you guys were doing. And to me, it was like, I really need to chat to these people. So what I do, with the radio shows and podcasting, I talk heavily about mental health. So with myself, I've struggled with, different mental illnesses all my life, from depression to CPTSD and all sorts. And only the past maybe 3 years, I've been talking about it more openly, especially when lockdown started.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that didn't realize that they had certain issues themselves because they were stuck in a routine. Just imagine, when I mean stuck in a routine, I mean that you have your job. You go to your job, you start at 9 o'clock, you finish at 5, you go home, you have your dinner, you have, watch a bit of telly, go to bed, and then next day, the same again. Just imagine after so long of doing that routine, that gets taken away from you so suddenly. And that's what happened with COVID with a lot of people. And then a lot of this is stopped for a lot of people. They didn't realize how alone they were. And a lot of people struggled with depression. And for me, I struggled as well. But the aim of these things, these conversations, is for the people to listen and they know they are not alone. And so you guys are doing something really special, which I'm going to, I will let you talk about this because you will know more about this than me. I really would like to talk about your current project, what you're doing, and also what you want to get out of it.
Yeah. So I think, and I'll not hog the limelight too much. I'll give everyone else a sort of chance to speak in a second. I think for us, the journey started really when we worked with Adam Haywood. And he sort of helped us to understand who we were as a band, what it is that we're trying to do, what message are we trying to get across, because I think we didn't know. And I think what you're saying there about people being stuck in a routine and not necessarily having the space to understand the situation is something that was very apt for what was going on with us. We wrote music without really understanding why we were writing it. We knew what we wanted to try and say, but not necessarily why we were saying it or how to say it. And working with Adam really helped us sort of open that space for us and sort of to give us that opportunity to say, well, actually, yeah, people don't want to talk about these situations, but these are our situations. These are things that we want to try and get across. If it can help people, then brilliant. If people can relate to it, then even better. That's what music's about, certainly for a lot of people. It's about that relatability.
People that don't know, who is Adam to you as a band?
He's our therapist.
Kind of, yeah.
Professionally,
Yeah.
on a professional level, because
Little bit.
I know who he is. I spoke to him, but who will be listening might not know.
No, of course, he's a media coach, and the man's an absolute wizard. He's got such a way of words and being able to sort of translate even the sort of the minor nuance of a situation and bring it at the front and yeah, makes so much sense to places where there's no sense.
He's really good at what he does. That's for sure. He's been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have released a new single. It is in association with a very special, with PTSD UK. So do you want to explain to me a little bit about that?
First of all, you're the best at this.
Yeah, I'm honestly,
Yeah.
I'm trying not to sort of like be like the person who talks all the time. But yeah,
This basically come about through Adam as well. When we'd be discussing something, and he had a little idea. Why don't you try and do something for this? This charity, not particularly this charity, but and then it came about from there.
yeah. So the track we've written been released since about 2012. I think we first released it. And at the time, to be fair, even still now, but at the time it was very difficult to talk about mental health issues. The track's always been about PTSD and always been about how Hannah sort of dealt with that. But people who came to gigs and listened to the song, they all thought it was a love song, and they related it to it in that situation. Thought it was about.
They basically thought it was about a breakup.
Yeah.
Mm.
And there's a few people that I knew who know personally who related to that song on that aspect, but we never corrected them in terms of the meaning or that kind of thing. And I suppose as we were working through with Adam, and he was talking about the opportunities that we have now with this sort of the new voice that we've got. Like as Adis was saying, it just evolved into, well, how can we get this message out, and how can we actually use it to help people? So we researched a lot into different PTSD charities, looking at the ethos, looking at what it is that they're trying to achieve from the organizations, all that kind of stuff. And that's how we came across PTSD UK. Their mission statement, what they're trying to achieve in terms of the support for people who've got PTSD and CPSD as well. It resonated with us. We've toyed with the idea of doing a stripped back song for years, and for one reason or another, we've never really done it. Don't know whether that's just it wasn't right for us at the time or anything like that. But this just evolved naturally, didn't it? And just
there was a little bit of a penny drop moment when Adam mentioned it, and I thought, hold on.
Yeah. So we commissioned, I think it's the guitarist of Ruth's other band who plays piano. Eliza commissioned her to do just basically come up with something on the piano about the track, and it's turned out really well. Really, really well.
The track we're talking about is the one you just released recently on the 19th of August.
Yes, How the Story Ends.
How the Story Ends.
Eye of the Storm, yeah.
And then you've got another one coming out on September 2nd. I have to write it down because my memory is terrible. I wrote it down, but
this
I
one's
can't find it.
Calm After the Storm.
Oh, of course.
So there's two versions that we wrote, really just to depict the two different sides of the PTSD experience that Hannah was talking about. Eye of the Storm is the sort of the dark, moody situation where things look bleak, and it's really living the trauma, so to speak, of that situation. And Calm After the Storm it's more hopeful. So there's I think we've challenged the boundaries a little bit of our genre and what we've released in the past, haven't we?
Second one's a little bit more upbeat. It's a bit more, I'm not saying cheerful, but it's it's that sort of
the sunshine after the rain moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
kind of sort of thing.
It's almost that yin and yang, isn't it? Situation of the two songs. It's the positivity and the hope. And
was that planned, or was it something that just happened?
It just happened.
Yeah,
I think it just happened. We were playing about, and Adis mostly was playing about with different ideas, and it sort of evolved and sort of became what it is.
When it comes to PTSD, is it something that to yourselves as well, is it something personal, or was it just a story that Hannah was trying to tell?
No, it's personal to Hannah more than the rest of us, because she actually does suffer from it. So it was written from the inside, if you like, and not looking. It was personal experiences. I
think as well, because we're as a band, we're like a family. Hearing the situations and the stories behind stuff obviously has an effect on us as a group, and sort of more of an emotive effect, I think, I suppose. Empathetic, really, isn't it?
Yeah. As any fans of the band shared any stories similar with yourselves, or? Yeah,
we've had a few. I'm just being mindful about what we say, because some of them have been.
Of course, it is their story to tell. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'd be worried that we wouldn't do them justice and that kind of thing.
Could those stories be somewhat inspirational to when it comes to songwriting and stuff like that? Especially if you are so passionate about talking stuff that really matters, like mental well-being.
Yeah,
and
I think.
Go on.
One of the things that we try and do is we don't try to tell other people's stories and things like that. Everything that we write is all personal. It's all about situations that we've experienced, either collectively or individually. But I think, I'm just thinking back to the video that we did for Nymph a few years back, where we invited people to give their stories or to give their memories about the situation. Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen the video for it, but it's a very powerful one. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of people have been impacted.
Raw, I would say.
Yeah.
Very raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I was watching it, I could feel it, which is what I like. It's what I like about music, the power of music and just the songs and all that stuff. You can obviously it's objective. You can relate to it. Might not be the same way as another person does. I think it is a great thing that you're doing. Do you feel like you are at your peak, or is there more to come? Is there more that you want to do?
I think we're just getting started. I think
Yeah.
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 So, yeah.
You ready to roaring to go and just
Yeah, I think certainly for me, the work that we've done with Adam is it's like opened a new chapter, and I think there's so much opportunity that we now have at our fingertips, both from a writing perspective and from a storytelling point of view. I think it's certainly given us some clarity on where we take things or where we're trying to take things, and just giving us that reaffirmation that what we're trying to do is right by us, and hopefully right by other people as well.
So you're going to be doing a gig really soon, aren't you? And you're raising funds for PTSD UK.
Yeah.
Right. When is that?
It is at Trillions in Newcastle on Friday the 23rd of September.
Friday.
Yeah, there was a little bit of an incident where we got the wrong day.
Whoops.
The right date, but the wrong day. But we've got very attentive followers on our page who helped us to very quickly recognize the mistake after going through all the different checks that we did, and still managed to miss it, but never mind.
So after you doing this, after this gig to raise funds and all that stuff, what is next for you as a band? What are you going to be doing? More gigs, writing more things? What's happening? I want to know everything.
We're heavily writing at the minute. It's been really over the last sort of few years. It's been difficult to write. It's been very difficult to write with the lockdown. Difficult to get in the right mental space and that kind of stuff. So the plan really between now and the end of the year is just to work on new material. We've got some studio time booked for later in the year. We've got a few releases up our sleeves, which haven't been announced or hinted on yet. So you're the first to know.
That's really exciting. Good luck with with the gig, and I hope that you raise as many funds as you can. If anyone wants to donate, where's the best place to go?
Best place is our Just Giving page. So there's links up on our social media. We've got links embedded in the link tree. So if you go onto any of our pages, there's pinned posts in the bios, that kind of stuff, links to it. Or if you want to just search Just Giving, search for the Mafia.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for having a chat with me.
No problem.
No worries.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else that if you want to promote something, if you want to say something, shout out to your mum, to your dog, go for it. Is there your chance?
I'm on the spot. I don't know.
That's okay. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. It's all right.
Well, shout out to Ruth. Hope you're listening.
Yes. What I was going to say is, what's your word of advice for someone that might be struggling with their mental well-being?
Talk to somebody.
Yeah. Don't be embarrassed by it. Don't be afraid by it.
Don't bottle it up. Talk.
No.
So I was down at Stonedead this weekend, and they had a dedicated tent to this sort of thing. And in fact, it was the people who Adam went to.
Yeah.
And so
good idea.
It's out there. All you
a
have to do is
service
ask.
like that is crucial.
Definitely.
Yeah, festivals and live events.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now that there's more awareness now, so it's becoming more available and it's more acceptable. People now know that they can talk about these things, and rightly so.
I think it's very difficult. It's always been a difficult subject for people to talk about, and in some cases to even acknowledge and accept situations. I mean, I think one of the good things about lockdown, if anyone can actually say that it was good, is that I think it's given people more of an opportunity to understand themselves and understand potentially where they maybe need a little bit more help. I think it's opened up some things in people, and I'm using personal sort of experience here that they didn't necessarily know that was there. Through lockdown, I suffered with quite severe anxiety, and
I can relate.
Didn't have any experience of it before, other than sort of knowing people who've had it, but didn't have any personal sort of experience. And it was very difficult for me to actually understand and appreciate actually what it was and that kind of thing.
At first, it's quite an alien feeling
Yeah.
if that makes sense. You feel so misplaced.
Mm.
And you're just like, what is this that I'm feeling right now? Like, what, you can't even like pinpoint, because it's
No.
not something that you felt before. And then it's like, when, especially nowadays, that well, personally, I go to Dr. Google when we research what we're feeling. And now it's become a bit more acceptable to do so, and just research what you're feeling, and then there's that information out there. But
Yeah.
you know, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't like that.
Even if you can just join an online group. You know, I know people who have joined online groups because they don't want to maybe talk face to face, but there's a lot of comfort can be gained from people who are in the same situation.
Absolutely. And there's quite a lot of help now, but still not enough. There's something there, but we need a bit more support from our government. But obviously we're not going to go into that, because that's another podcast. That's another episode altogether, talking about the government. But when it comes to to mental health, and everyone's got mental and physical health, it's the same. If you have a headache, you take medicine. Why not find something that works for your anxiety and for your depression, and whichever issue you may be suffering from.
And that's one of the things that for me was quite surprising, just how physical it was.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like a physical pain in my chest, and it's very difficult to comprehend unless you actually experience it. I mean, it's why the awareness of it is just so important, just so people actually can begin to appreciate and understand what people are going through.
100%. And sometimes what people don't realize is, especially anxiety can manifest itself physically. So you can, when you're having a panic attack, then again, I speak for personal experience. When you're having a really bad panic attack, it can feel like you're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
You feel breathless, you're sweating, you incoherent, you don't know what you're doing. You just like, it's so unbearable that it feels like your heart is like just going 10,000 miles an hour.
It's like someone's pushing a brick on your chest and pushing it down. It's very surreal.
It's horrendous. And for someone that's never felt like that before, so all of a sudden sees themselves having a really bad panic attack and not knowing what's going on, like, what do I do? Do I call an ambulance and tell them that I'm having a heart attack? But then it's like, if I don't, what's happening to me? You just don't know. But it's again, when it comes to the power of live music, the power of meeting people, and doing all these things and opening up and knowing that you're not alone. It's okay to not be okay.
It is. Yeah.
All ages. Doesn't matter if you're like in your teens, it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. It's just like anxiety, depression. It's what it is. It's not like, I'm too old to have anxiety, I'm too old to have depression. No. These things do not pick an age. They can happen at any time throughout your life, or not happen at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it is what it is. We just need to have these conversations more and do something about it. Do our bit. You guys are doing this through music. I personally doing this through radio shows, podcasting, and speaking to people at festivals. If they look a bit like anxious, because imagine like being locked in your house for nearly 2 years, and then everything's back again, and then it's like, what shall I do? And then you find yourself in the middle of a crowd all of a sudden again. It's just like crazy, huh?
Yeah,
it's overwhelming.
Yeah. Very much.
Very, very overwhelming. It's been lovely to meet you, and hopefully I shall see you again.
Okay,
Definitely.
Brilliant. Look forward to seeing you.
See you later. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Grab a Cuppa podcast with Cat Wright.